She's hitting on you, but 93% of older men don't even notice. Have you ever walked away from a conversation with this strange feeling that you just missed something important, but couldn't quite name what it was? Maybe she simply asked, "Do you come here often?" Just a casual question, right? But if you had slowed down, looked a little deeper, felt a little closer, you might have realized that wasn't just a question. It was an invitation, a doorway, her way of saying, "I see you, and I'd like to know more." But most men miss it, especially the experienced ones. The men who've been taught to look for logic, not emotion, to listen for facts, not feelings. Today, flirting doesn't shout. It doesn't wear a sign. It lives in the eyes, in the pause, in a question soft as breath. And if you miss it, you're not just missing a moment. You're missing the beginning of real connection. So let me show you how to recognize it before it slips past you again. Part 1. The hidden invitation behind simple questions. You ever been in a casual conversation where someone asked, "Do you come here often?" Or, "What are you reading?" Maybe even, "Do you believe in fate?" Now, on the surface, those sound like harmless, everyday questions. But if you slow down and really listen, you'll realize they're not just questions. They're invitations. You see, women don't always express interest the way we might expect. They're not testing you, not playing games. What they're really doing is opening a door into their emotional world. When she asks about your book, she's not really asking for a summary. She's asking, what moves you? What makes you think? What kind of man are you underneath it all? These moments, so subtle, so easy to miss, are where true connection begins. But most men, they brush it off. They think it's small talk. They answer politely, maybe even awkwardly, and the moment passes. And with it, so does the chance to connect on a deeper level. So next time you hear a woman ask something simple, pause, breathe, look her in the eye. Because that question, it might just be her way of saying, "I see you, and I want to know you if you're willing to let me in." Part 2. Modern flirting is quiet, but intentional. You know, flirting today doesn't look like it used to. It's no longer big, flashy moves or obvious pickup lines. In fact, the more mature and emotionally intelligent a woman is, the more subtle her signals become. It's the way she holds eye contact, just a second longer than expected. The way her voice softens when she says your name, or when she brings up something small you told her days ago. Something you didn't think she'd remember, but she did, because she was listening. These aren't accidents. They're not random. They're signs. Signs that say, "I see you. I'm paying attention, and I want you to notice me too." Flirting, when done well, doesn't need to be loud. It's not about chasing or proving. It's about presence, awareness, about two people tuning in to each other's frequency, without saying too much. So next time she leans a little closer, or laughs at something that wasn't that funny, don't brush it off. That may be her version of a whisper, and you'll only hear it if you're really there to listen. Part 3. When she stops performing, she's finally comfortable. You ever notice when a woman lets her hair down, literally and figuratively? I'm not talking about how she looks. I'm talking about how she lets go of trying to look perfect. Maybe she laughs a little too loud. Maybe she tells you something a little messy, a little vulnerable. Maybe she shows up without makeup, without the polished version of herself, and she doesn't apologize for it. That's not carelessness. That's trust. Because when a woman stops performing, when she no longer feels the need to manage your perception of her, that means something profound. She feels safe. Safe to be soft. Safe to be imperfect. Safe to just be. Most men don't realize how much energy women spend guarding themselves, especially in a world that often demands they be put together at all times. But when she starts letting you see the real her, not the curated version, that's not her letting herself go. That's her letting you in. And if you can meet her there, with presence instead of judgment, you'll experience a version of intimacy that most never even get close to. Part 4. Why so many good men miss these moments. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from a conversation with a woman, only to realize hours later Wait, was she flirting? You see, a lot of good men, especially as we get older, start tuning out subtle things. Not because we don't care, but because we've been trained to look for clarity, for logic, for results. We want things to make sense. We want women to be direct. But attraction, emotional safety, desire, those don't play by the rules of logic. Women communicate through subtext, not always statements. Through warmth in the voice, not a checklist of interest. She might repeat something you said 2 weeks ago, not because she's nosy, but because she's paying attention. She might linger in the doorway, not rushing to leave. And you think it's nothing, but to her it's everything. The tragedy is this: most men aren't blind. They're just never taught what to look for. We were taught to listen with our ears, but women often speak to your heart, quietly, emotionally, intuitively. So if you slow down, if you soften the noise of getting it right, and you simply feel into the moment, you'll realize she's been saying a lot more than you thought. You just needed to learn how to hear it. Part 5. When she asks, she's actually feeling you. You ever notice how a woman will ask a question that feels simple on the surface? Like, what are you thinking about? Do you ever just watch the sky? Do you believe people meet for a reason? And maybe you try to give the right answer. Something smart, clear, reasonable. But here's the truth most men don't realize. She's not looking for the answer. She's looking for you inside the answer. She wants to know, are you present? Do you feel things? Are you just responding? Or are you truly with her in that moment? Because to a woman who seeks connection, what you say is less important than how you are when you say it. She asks because she wants to feel you. Not your logic, not your facts, but your essence, your attention, your emotional honesty. And the irony, when you stop trying to impress her and just be real, that's when you become most captivating. So next time she asks you something that sounds random, pause, feel, answer with your presence. Because sometimes the moment isn't about the words, it's about whether your heart is in the room with hers. Part 6. Don't try to impress her, just be present. As men, we carry this silent pressure to impress, to prove we're successful enough, confident enough, worthy enough. But here's the catch. While we're busy performing, we miss what women truly crave. They're not looking for a walking resume. They're not scanning for accomplishments or polished answers. What truly captivates a woman is presence. A man who can sit there, grounded, not in a rush to speak, but fully with her, not trying to outshine, not fixing, not playing a role, just present. In a world full of distractions, full of noise and ego, authentic presence is rare and magnetic. She doesn't need you to impress her. She needs to feel you're here, not somewhere else in your mind, not lost in your image, but here with her. Part 7. What do men really lose when they're not paying attention? Most men think that missing a woman's subtle signals just means you missed out on a potential date, but it's deeper than that. You miss a moment where she allowed herself to be seen, not physically, but emotionally. A softened glance, a question that carried more than just words, a moment she dropped her guard, just enough to connect. And if, in that moment, you only gave her a polite smile, a generic reply, she'll feel it, not because you're a bad guy, but because you weren't fully present. Women are intuitive. When she opens up and gets nothing but surface-level response, she pulls back. She tucks away that softness. That glow in her eyes fades. That warmth she offered disappears. And what you lose isn't just a woman. You lose the chance to truly connect with a living, breathing soul in a moment that may never come again. Part 8. This isn't a game. It's emotional maturity. This isn't a game. It's not a trick to make her fall for you. It's not a technique to win attention. This is emotional maturity. It's your ability to be fully present with another human without needing a guaranteed outcome. Women don't expect you to figure them out. They know they're complex. They know you're different. What they truly value is someone aware enough to notice when they're trying to connect in their own subtle, quiet way. No big moves, no loud gestures, just presence, a glance, a pause, a shared moment of energy. And if you're still enough to feel it, slow enough to see it, real enough to meet it with your true self. That's no longer flirting. That's a way of living, a mark of a man with depth, grace, and the strength to see what others miss. Part 9. When she leaves space for you to step in. Sometimes the most powerful gestures aren't the loud ones. They're not in the way she flips her hair, or laughs a little longer than usual. They're in the silence, in the way she lets a moment linger, just long enough for you to say something. You see, women have a subtle kind of intelligence. They won't always tell you they're interested, but they'll leave space, soft, open space, for you to step into. She may pause in the conversation, not because she's out of words, but because she wants to see if you'll meet her in the silence. Maybe she leans in just slightly, not because she can't hear you, but because she wants to feel closer without having to ask. And here's the truth most men miss. Attraction isn't always shown. Sometimes it's offered, quietly, softly, waiting. The question is, will you recognize it? Because when a woman creates space, emotionally, physically, even conversationally, she's not backing away. She's inviting you in. And the kind of man who senses that, who responds, not with force, but with presence, he doesn't need to impress her. He just needs to notice. Part 10. Male intuition. Not a mystery, but something waiting to be reawakened. Most men think intuition is a woman's thing. They call it the sixth sense, something soft, mystical, maybe even irrational. But here's the truth. Men have intuition too. We've just been taught to ignore it. As boys, we were trained to be logical, to be strong, to be clear. If you couldn't explain it with reason, it didn't count. And over time, we stopped noticing. The extra second she holds eye contact, the way her voice softens when she speaks your name, the silence that lingers a little longer than it should. That's not magic. That's emotional language, spoken without words. It's how women feel before they speak. And if you want to connect deeply, you have to listen not with your ears, but with your presence. Start simple. Slow down. Look at her, not through her. Feel the energy behind her words instead of just decoding them. Your intuition was never gone. It's just been waiting for you to be still enough to hear it. Sometimes the most attractive thing is simply slowing down to feel. Women rarely say it outright. I like you. Not because they're playing games, but because they connect differently, deeper, more subtly. They invite you into an emotional space, not with words, but with a look, a silence, or a seemingly casual question. And what you need to do isn't rush to respond, impress, or decode. It's to pause, be fully present, feel what's actually happening beneath the surface. Because sometimes, the most attractive thing isn't what you say, but how you listen, not with your ears, but with your undivided attention. And in that moment, you're not just interesting to her, you're felt as a real man.